now that the majority of Americans understand he was right, now that the NFL has admitted, without saying his name, he was right, we've given way, I listed 9 excuses there, to the 10th and final one, which is, damn, it's a shame. That blackballing that happened, it took too long for us to realize, and now it's been too long, which of course is also nonsense. Chad Henne, the backup quarterback for my Kansas City Chiefs, since 2016, when Cap was a starter, has thrown 5 passes. In the same time frame, Cap's thrown 330. Aldon Smith has been out of football a year longer than Cap. He's on the Dallas Cowboys right now. Folks, for the better part of 4 years, Wilds, have done their best to deny what is patently obvious. Colin Kaepernick had his career taken away from him because he made a stance. He made a stand. And now the country is realizing he happened to be right about that stand, and he's still not going to be able to play football again.
See, I'm a little bit more optimistic than you, Nick. I think that we've seen a sea change here from Goodell, from the league, and from what Pete Carroll said. And I know Pete Carroll has always is an optimistic guy, but I don't think there was a reason for him to volunteer the fact that teams are called, or a singular team called him to ask about him. That makes me think that we're headed in the right direction, that Cap is going to get a shot, and that Cap's perseverance that he's shown throughout these last 3.5 years. He's been on Instagram with his day count of how long he's been out and constantly showing that he is ready. He was ready in the tryout. I think I have a more, maybe I hope it's not naive optimism, but I'm optimistic that he will be on an NFL field or with an NFL team this year, Broussard.
Look, I do feel like for the NFL to make good on its apology that Roger Goodell issued, Kaepernick needs to be on a team. He needs to at least have the opportunity to play. If otherwise, you're just speaking words that really don't have any meaning. And a lot of people are doing that right now. And I think Pete Carroll was talking out of both sides of his mouth. Okay, he says, we regret not signing him back in 2017. We should have done it. Well, if you regret it, do it now. Nothing has changed. Russell Wilson is still embedded as your starter, so there won't be a controversy. It's not like if Russell has a bad game, people are going to say, put Kaepernick in, so you don't have to worry about that. In fact, you know what? One thing has changed. The one excuse that Pete Carroll gave for not signing Cap, he's a starter. He really is. He's good enough to start. He's too good to be a backup. We can't sign him for that reason. Now he is a backup. Now, he could become a starter in the future, but no one in their right mind would say after 3 years off, he's ready to step into the NFL right now and start. So that excuse is gone, kind of to Nick's point. So now what's the excuse? Geno Smith? You signed him to a 1-year, $1.2 million deal. In the last 3 years that Cap's been out, Geno has thrown 54 passes. So he hadn't really been that active either. And obviously, Kaepernick is better than Geno Smith or has been throughout their careers. He's only 32 years old. The styles of play that a lot of teams are adopting, obviously Seattle, could fit for Kaepernick. And Pete Carroll said yesterday, I've always said over the years that if something happened and Russell got tangled up and couldn't play for some reason, Kaepernick would be an extraordinary candidate to replace him. Sounds like the perfect fit in Seattle. Now, I get it. If another team wants to sign him and he has a better chance to eventually play, that's one thing. But Carroll is like a lot of people nowadays, speaking out of both sides of his mouth on this Kaepernick issue.
With respect to all those excellent points you made, Broussard, my only pushback would be you're operating from a place of logic on this. This has never been about logic. This was a player who was blackballed, and we know it. And if we try to reverse engineer why now he could get, no. He had his career taken from him because he decided to make a stand that at the time was unpopular amongst the majority of Americans. And even though right now the majorities have flipped, it is still unpopular amongst a large segment of the population. It does not matter that the people who are angriest at Cap have been exposed as utter frauds. It does not matter that the people who are angriest at Cap about kneeling during the national anthem because it disrespects the flag and our military are the exact same people angriest at NASCAR right now for banning the Confederate flag, which is the single most disrespectful thing you could possibly display to our troops, the flag, and our military, since it's a flag that represents an insurrection against our military. It's never been about 1 + 1 = 2. It's always been about 1 + 1 = X, and you just have to trust us. And so, listen, I don't know that I should admit my bias